This is your signal of the week. One report, one moment, one thing that doesn't make sense. No headlines, no explanations, just the signal and what we know about it. So listen carefully, because once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Welcome to the signal of the week. And now, Alien Mike and Sergeant Shenanigator.
Alien Mike, what's going on tonight, man?
Another day in paradise. How are you doing?
I'm just out here looking for ghosts, looking for UFOs, hoping to hitch a ride somewhere.
Yeah, but anywhere but here, huh?
So, uh, well, I know many people that watched our live know we had some serious technical difficulties recently, but I think we're back on track now.
Yeah, I think we are. I'm just trying to iron out the last little few details on my end, but it seems to be going okay.
So, we might as well get into this since it's a signal of the week. Tonight, I think we're going to go ahead and talk about uh, not just the Washington UFO flap, but we're going to talk about UFOs over DC.
Yep.
And that's from 1952 all the way up to present day.
Yep.
So I know you've
Absolutely.
done the research on 1952. So if you want to kick it off.
Yeah. So the UFO flap in 1952 was from July 19th and 20th and July 26th and 27th. There was multiple unidentified objects over Washington, D.C., including the restricted airspace near the Capitol and the White House. It was seen by multiple different people, from radar operators to air traffic controllers, pilots, and civilians. It was tracked and seen on multiple different independent radars, and it ended up the U.S. Air Force sent jets to intercept it, but nothing ever really came of that. So the Washington National Airport radar operator Harry G. Barnes Jr. reported objects appeared on radar moving at extreme speeds, stopping instantly, then reversing direction, something no known aircraft could do at the time. He described 5 to 7 targets hovering and darting around the restricted airspace. And speaking of the speed, as you mentioned earlier, you said one person recorded it at or reported it at 7,200.
7,200 miles an hour.
Yeah, and at that time, there was nothing that flew that fast.
No, I mean,
So,
currently today, the record stands at 7,000 miles an hour for the NASA's X-43A
yep,
unmanned aircraft. And that was set in 2004.
yeah.
Well, back in 1952, the airspeed record for the world was 698.505 miles per hour. That's the fastest ever recorded for the
So
entire year.
yeah, so there's nothing that did it. The commercial pilot, Captain S.C. Pierman, said he saw bright lights moving much faster than shooting stars, then suddenly stopping in midair. Another pilot, which I couldn't find the name of, said the objects glowed orange, changed direction abruptly, and outpaced the jet interceptors. And what I found interesting was that pilot said they glowed orange, but from our conversation earlier, someone said they were glowing, a bluish white. And
Bluish white.
then I've seen red, multiple different colors. And the only way I could kind of explain it is, depending on where you're at and what you're looking at, it can look different shades of a color.
Yeah, I can see
So,
that.
um, the Air Force sent F-94 Starfire jets to investigate, and the pilots reported that the objects would vanish from radar as the jets approached, then they would reappear as soon as the jets left the area. There were no successful interceptions. The residents across DC reported lights hovering over the city, objects forming patterns or circles, sudden acceleration, and then disappearance. Some described it as stars that came alive and started moving with intention. Excuse me. The U.S. Air Force, via Project Blue Book, concluded that the sightings were likely caused by a temperature inversion, this atmospheric condition that can bend radar signals, creating false targets. Now, I personally think that's kind of crap.
Yeah, one of the other explanations I heard was it was the temperature inversion,
Mhm.
but it was catching reflections off of the interstate.
Yeah,
And that would explain the blue lights, the orange lights, the red lights. But
not anything else.
I've been on the interstates around DC. While the speeds are pretty fast when it's open, 7,200 miles an hour.
No. Now, I don't know how accurate this is, but I could have swore somewhere that I heard when you're driving and you see your lights, at night and you see your lights shining off something, they're moving twice as fast as you are.
Yeah,
So, I mean, let's think about Utah. The average person's driving 85 on the freeway, so you're looking at 190 or 170. Man, my math sucks. 170 miles an hour. That's still nowhere near 7,200.
no. And
So,
the pilot that reported 7,200 miles an hour wasn't a military pilot. He was a commercial pilot coming in, and he said that the object he saw was off his left wing and approaching him.
yep.
I know the military pilots, when they got there, they said that the objects disappeared. They disappeared off radar, they disappeared out of sight. When the jets left, they reappeared. But this pilot saw it at the very beginning. He was on his approach into Baltimore.
Hmm.
So it would have been off his right wing, sorry. So I think a commercial pilot would know whether it was an atmospheric condition or an actual object that was approaching their aircraft at 7,200 miles an hour.
Yep.
I mean,
I
at
agree.
least I
And
would believe so.
I mean, that goes back to our episode on declassification. A lot of these people, they're going to say things, and if they do say something, it's not, chances are they're not going to be very open about everything.
Yeah.
But
And
that at that time period, I see no reason why they would not say something because it was a new phenomenon,
excuse me.
occurring.
Yeah. So I don't know. This whole thing I researched the 1952 UFO flap, and
Mhm.
that's what got me looking into the rest of the sightings over DC.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, you're talking about the most restricted airspace, not in the country, but in the world.
Yeah.
You can actually fly near the presidential house in South Korea. You can't fly directly over it at low altitudes, but you can enter that airspace.
Right.
This airspace, otherwise known as P-56 restricted airspace, is so regulated that even commercial airline pilots have to file their regular flight plan plus get special permission just to fly this 15-mile circle.
Yeah. So,
And if it's not done in a timely manner, like for example, flying this airspace, well, let me pull it up real quick. Flying the airspace, you need to have clearance to fly through it. And here we go. So that's this circle right here, which is 15 miles around uh, Washington National.
okay. So that's starting going around the circle
Yep.
like that. Okay.
Yeah. So the inner red circle is what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
If you're flying and the wind changes to where they've got to change landing patterns,
Right.
if you're too close, they will divert you to another airport because
Yeah.
they don't have time to clear you to go through that flight area.
Yeah.
So
It's very heavily regulated.
inside that circle, I couldn't actually find it and pull it up and blow it up big enough to see. there's a 5 mile circle over the Capitol, the White House, and other federal buildings.
Yeah.
There is zero tolerance for aircraft in there except for military aircraft.
Yep.
If you make it through the 15-mile zone and you don't have permission, you are going to be escorted out of there with fighter jets.
Yep.
If you make it into the 5 mile zone, there's a possibility you can get shot down.
Yeah. You don't
They'll,
make it.
they'll give you warnings.
Yeah.
One.
Yep. It honestly, I know this kind of veers off a little bit, but there's a show I watched a few years back called Flying Wild Alaska, and it was this family that owned, I guess, this flying freight company, aircraft company, but they would have to go to the island of Little Diomede, which is right next to the island of Big Diomede, which is Russian territory. There's a 2 mile difference that separates them. And as they're flying to drop off supplies, I mean, in the show, you see them looking out the window and the Russian planes, their fighter planes, following them. And they said multiple times they have had them that the Russians will intercept them and they force them down if they cross that line. They do not care. And so that's kind of how this is. If you do not take that first warning and get out, you're done.
And Andrews Air Base has the ready alert team always there,
Yep.
especially when the president is in office. But
Oh, yeah.
even when he's out of office, they have the alert flight ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, you just
So it's a matter of seconds before they show up.
yeah. So to go back to the UFO thing, I mean, in 52 they had radars. They could see it. They knew what was going on, and if something was disappearing and making it in there in the first place, it's, to me, that's not just a regular plane
No,
flying around. It's
no.
something that has the technology to show up and disappear and be in the middle of this. I mean, like I said, the fighter jets that they sent after them said they just disappear, and as soon as the jets leave, they come back on like somebody's flipping a light switch. That's to me, it's not of this world.
Yeah, and not at all. So I know you already talked a little bit about Project Blue Book.
Yeah, so I did bring that up. So Project Blue Book was a code name for the study of UFO, flying objects by the Air Force from 1952 until it ended in December of 69, December 17th. It was headquartered at Wright-Patterson Air Force. I can't even read what I wrote. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, directed by Captain Edward J. Ruppelt, I think is how you say his name. And they, just spent their time studying UFOs. And before that, it was Project Grudge from, I believe, 48 until they changed it to Project Blue Book. And then before that, it was Project Sign. So according to them, according to the Air Force, I guess, their summary of all the investigations was that there's no UFOs reported, investigated, or evaluated by the Air Force that was ever a threat to our national security. There was no evidence submitted to or discovered by the Air Force that sightings categorized as unidentified represented technological developments or principles beyond the range of modern scientific knowledge, and there was no evidence indicating that sightings categorized as unidentified were extraterrestrial vehicles. Now, I think we all know my opinion on
Yeah.
it. I was going to say one key word, and I don't know if I should. It starts with a G. I don't believe them when it comes to any of this. Any of the crap
we
they say.
better not say it. They've already destroyed one computer, shut down your internet.
Yep. Coming for my computer next, I'm sure. But
Could be.
there's a lot of information out there. So I mean, that's the gist of it with Project
Yep.
Blue Book. They
And in the description there will be a link to more information on
yep.
Project Blue Book. And
And
in the future, we may actually do a live on Project Blue Book.
that was something that I've been wanting to do for a while. There is this book too by, I don't know if you say it, Brad Steiger. I
Brad
don't know how you
Steiger.
Steiger. That very informative, talks about everything from Project Blue Book, and check it out if you haven't, if you're interested. So
So the reason I was interested in doing this show was because of Project Blue Book and saying, no, it was nothing. And then we get into the age of disclosure now where they're still saying, no, it was mostly drones in the air or this or that. They're
mhm,
not really coming out and saying there's anything over DC, which is
right.
hard to believe because, I mean, the National UFO Reporting Center alone has hundreds of
Yeah.
sightings over DC from 1970 to present day.
Yep.
That's just one reporting site. MUFON has the same thing, different reports. They're not all the same reports.
Yep.
Then the app that Alien Mike and I follow, the Enigma, they've got hundreds of reports in there.
Yeah. So I mean, you're going to run across some that are the same across all three, but for the most part, everything I've seen, the majority of it is all different.
Yeah,
So, because most people either know, with smartphones nowadays, they're posting it on Enigma or they're going to the MUFON website and posting it on MUFON.
and
So,
Enigma, I mean they've got we can't share them because it is a private site.
yeah.
But if you download the Enigma app and search for DC, they've got photos in there of people just at coffee shops taking a picture of a blue flashing orb,
Yeah.
or videos at night flying over the mall in DC.
Yeah. The thing I like about Enigma is the amount of detail that you can get from it, but how simple it is.
Yeah,
You look at New Fork and MUFON, and while there is a ton of information on those sites, it can be tricky to find certain things.
yep,
But with Enigma, it will categorize things, on the type of UFO it was, whether it's orb, cigar, tic tac, triangle, whatever. And you can go, like I've zoomed into Salt Lake City and did West Jordan where I live, and you touch whatever dot is there, and it will, whoever uploaded it, they'll either have a picture or video, it one, both, or none, but they'll have a description of it, and it's just absolutely amazing.
Uh, let me ask you a question. Does it piss you off going to that and realizing that 2 days ago there was a sighting just to the south of you by a mile and you missed it?
Yep.
'Cause
I'm going to
I get the
be
same thing out
honest.
here in Poughkeepsie.
Yeah, I'll be 100% honest with you. It is not on my phone right now. One, because I had to factory reset my phone, but before I did that the other week, I took it off because of that reason. I kept seeing all these things popping up, all these notifications, and going, "What the hell? I'm
Yeah,
right here, sitting on my ass doing nothing." And I wander around. I go for walks. I go for drives. I don't see any of this.
yeah. I'm the same, and I'm looking at these pictures, and Alien Mike and I have talked about it before. The invention of AI is going to kill UFO hunting, ghost hunting. But you
Yeah.
can look at these pictures and go, "This is not AI."
Yeah. Oh, 'cause- yeah. When you see something in the sky and you go, "Oh crap," and you try to pull up your camera really fast, you're not getting a clear professional shot
No,
generally.
you're getting blurry, fuzzy,
Yeah.
and that's what these shots are.
Yeah.
And the
But
videos, I
yeah.
mean, even the people that are doing the reporting are saying, "This is what my phone captured," but what I am seeing isn't
It's,
just this orb. I can see the shape of a triangle or a
yeah.
cigar shape or a saucer shape.
Yeah. It is definitely an app for anybody that is into it. I mean, I've known UFO hunters and MUFON people that had no idea about this app, and it's a game changer for sure.
So, but the other reason I wanted to do this is out of these hundreds of reports just over this small DC area, a majority of them are coming in with photos, with videos, and not hitting radar.
Yeah.
And this goes back to the disclosure, the disclosure episode that we talked about. This is why we need disclosure.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're coming over the most restricted airspace in the world, there's nothing stopping them from going over Minot Air Force Base or our nuclear missile silos,
Yep.
which they've done.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it's this episode was more along the lines of laying the groundwork on why we need disclosure.
Yep. Which I I heard something yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, that said apparently all the stuff is getting finalized, I guess would be the way to put it.
I've heard the same thing.
Now, you know me, I'm not here to talk about
The
anything
G word.
political. Yep, I don't care what people want to believe. Not my business, but the one thing that I will give credit where credit's due is if Trump can release those files, I'll be happy as a pig in poop.
Oh yeah, and whether you're pro or anti doesn't matter to us at all.
No, I
But
just want the evidence.
just know that he stepped up and said, "I'm not a believer, but I'm still going to release the files."
Yeah, we'll release what we have. I mean, in the press conference that he just did, that's what he said. He goes, I, for lack of a better term, I guess, I think it's bullshit, but obviously all of you guys here think it's important, and because of that, I want to release it because it's important to you guys.
Yep.
And great.
Again, we're not doing
what I want.
any political sides here.
Nope. I completely stepped away from anything political. I don't
You
care
know,
about it. I just want that. That's the only thing I care about right now.
the only politics I'm involved in is Blorp for chancellor of his planet.
Yeah, there we
Go
go.
Blorp. He was kind enough to get my new computer sent to me.
Well,
So thank you, Blorp.
I think it
Amazing.
was Baby Blorp that got it.
I think Baby Blorp was the one that finally convinced Blorp to do it, but I'm still in favor of Blorp for chancellor of his planet.
He needs some recognition. So, but yeah,
Well,
all joking aside, I mean, I will be happy if everything is released or the majority. And
I don't even care if it comes out and says they're aliens or not,
no, I
because
just to
I
know
just
what's
want
going on.
disclosure to say these are the things that are out there and we don't know what they are.
Yeah. And see, I don't know why that is such a taboo thing with people. I mean, every culture has its things that are taboo to talk about or bring up, but I've never understood why UFOs are such a huge deal. It it doesn't make sense to me, and it
I
never will. Why people? Oh well, we don't know. No, no, and they just kind of ring around the rosy. You never get a straight answer, and that's what I want.
Yeah, that's all I want.
Yep.
I don't even care if you say they're from another galaxy. Just
No.
there's stuff there we don't know. Here's the proof. Here's what we've investigated.
I mean, Elizondo said it flat out. Yes, I've seen it. I know exactly what's going on. There's stuff out there. Some of it may be good. Some of it may not be good. But that's it. Do with that information what you will.
So, and just to give you guys an idea before we end the show, before we end this signal of the week today, I do have 3 quick stories that have come off the National UFO Reporting Center's website. And these are all recent stories within the last year.
Okay.
Again, take them however you want. Believe, don't believe, doesn't matter to me. So this one happened just to the south, on the southeast side of Washington, D.C. My parents, brother, and I were in the backyard in the evening between 7 and 9 p.m. Next door neighbors were also outside, and they were watching what we were watching as well. There was a very large saucer shaped object with red, green, blue, and white, or possibly yellow lights around its perimeter. The craft made no noise at all, but just hovered for at least an hour. We watched for about 30 minutes, then went inside to get ready for bed, and came back out, and it was still there. Uh, my mother used to watch TV or listen to the radio at night before going to bed, and she was listening to a call in program that night in the local area, and there were several other people who were calling in with the same reports. All right. Now, that was actually written by a teenager, maybe early 20s. So again, it could be anything.
Yeah.
Little adult beverage, little 420 on the side, whatever. But this one came from a law enforcement officer, and this one happened just back last August, and he was patrolling. Where was he patrolling? I can't even find where he was patrolling, and I just saw it yesterday. Anyway, he was on his regular patrol, and he looked up at the sky while he was taking a break, and he observed two blue and white orbs that were traveling south to north. They were both moving in a zigzag pattern and changing speed. One orb appeared to be going northeast, while the second orb was going just straight north. The moving objects did not have noticeable wings and did not have a trail of exhaust coming from behind. The sighting lasted under 30 seconds, and in that amount of time, a smaller aircraft such as a Cessna, he wasn't able to identify the exact aircraft, but he said a smaller aircraft the size of a Cessna was coming north to south, and these objects were definitely traveling way faster than this aircraft was, even though they were about the same size. Now, that one, I don't know. I guess other than the zigzag, I guess it could be military aircraft.
Yeah.
But they don't zigzag like that. They fly in a formation. Some people have actually said that one is a drone. And before I get to this last story, we forgot to mention something about that no-fly zone.
Yep.
That 5-mile zone.
Yeah. And before you do that, real quick, when we're done here, I need you to send me the link if you can, because I've tried finding all this stuff on New Fork and I cannot find it. All I find is from 2024 and back. Nothing new. So, yes.
I'll send you the link.
Okay, great. So drones.
Drones. I am a drone owner. I know at one point Alien Mike was going to own a drone, but he found out the hard way where he lives. You really can't fly it in your backyard.
Nope.
Right. Drones have GPS devices inside them that will not let them fly in restricted space. There's some restricted space it will let them fly, but you have to get special permission from the FAA.
Yeah.
This is one zone, this 5-mile zone around the Capitol and the White House. It is a 100% no drone area.
Yeah.
So these could not be drones. And for anybody that's flown a drone, if you try and launch within a restricted area, Mike, what happens?
So with mine, what would happen was I would try to take off and it would just start beeping. And then it would say across the screen, NFZ, no fly zone. It would not, no matter what I did, it wouldn't let me. But at the time, DJI was updating all their stuff. I found out the hard way. Like, I would be up the street from me and I could get it to hover, and then it would start flashing NFZ, and then it would go to lower it, and then it would just take off.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know if it was trying to go a certain, height before it took off and went somewhere I had no control of it. Like, if or what, but I was able to get it down, and that was the last time I flew one. Like it just will not let you fly it there.
I have flown my drone in an area where you're allowed to fly, but there's a no-fly zone nearby,
Mhm.
and I've flown towards it, and it flashes the no-fly zone, like you said,
Yep, and sends you
and
home.
then the next message is return to home.
Yep. And see, in my area, because the airport is literally a mile away, it I tried on my street and I tried at the huge soccer complex, and I could get it to go up a little bit, but it would always just drop right back down. And because I couldn't get it far enough away, it didn't have to really go back to home and fly back to me. It was already there.
Yeah, and I know you live real close to an airport,
Yep.
and my no-fly zone was it was the ILS approach to Stewart Airport out here.
Mhm. Yep.
So as soon as I hit that, I had no control over the drone anymore. It turned
No.
around and flew right back to where it took off from,
Yep.
landed on its own.
Yeah, it will not let you activate it, take control of it. It won't let you do anything. And that
Now,
mine was, I don't know what the deal was, but it would be about 10 feet, 15 feet in the air, and all my connection would be lost. And it would just sit there. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know if it was trying to come back to me. So I had to unplug the controllers, plug my phone back in, try to reset things. And I finally had to jump up and grab it out of the air in order to pull the battery out.
yeah, so I happen to know that the no-fly zones do affect the drones,
Mhm.
and the area we're talking about, you're not going to get anything from the Secret Service,
No.
but I guarantee they have anti-drone technology within that 5 mile circle.
Oh, they do. There's you can on just that subject, me and a buddy of mine have actually looked at getting stuff like that, and you can get online and buy it yourself. That they'll send pulses up there that will cause it to go back to the sender, back to home, that will completely disable it and crash it where it's at, or just completely fry the whole thing. And so, if a civilian can buy that stuff,
Yeah.
think about what the military can do.
And I know in the areas that we fly, it can be hundreds of dollars of fines if you violate the no-fly zone.
Oh yeah,
In DC, in that 5 mile section, you can expect that fine to be thousands and thousands of dollars
and jail
and
time.
never have the ability to obtain your Part 107 license to commercially fly drones.
Nope. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if you ended up in jail.
It wouldn't surprise me a bit.
So
So,
it's interesting for sure. But like we discussed the other day, I'd always disliked drones. I just never cared for them for multiple reasons I don't need to get into here. But being a photographer, I thought, okay, I have a business doing this. I can get some pretty cool shots if I just get into this. And so I tried. And I also wanted to be able to fly it at my house and around my house. And I couldn't. So
yeah,
it just kind of it ruined it for me.
I mean, I love my drone, but the last time I flew it was when you were here
Yeah. And that
because the
was
restrictions are just getting more and more, and I don't
yeah.
I don't want to end up with the fines.
No.
You know, would
'Cause
I eventually like to get my Part 107 and be able to do it commercially? Oh heck
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it would be cool. But it's yeah, I don't know. There's just something about the drones that bother me.
Yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately it's like the ghost hunters or the UFO hunters. There's
Mhm.
there's the guys that are dead serious about it,
Yep.
and then the guys that just think it's a reason to go out and destroy an abandoned building simply because you can.
Yeah. And I mean, the one of the things that just made me really despise it at one point was me and a buddy were walking along the Jordan Trail. Just we decided to go from Murray, Utah, all the way up to Salt Lake on a walk, and there was some punk kid that kept flying it, like buzzing our heads with it, and I was getting mad. Like, You don't have anything better to do. Maybe I'm just getting old and grumpy, but it's like, come on, you're just being an ass now.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing.
Yep. So, anyway, enough about drones. I just
Yep.
wanted to bring that up on how that couldn't be a reason.
Well,
I mean, there are drones in that 5 mile section, but they are operated by the military.
yeah. Well, I mean, we can't end it on that. I mean, think it was it 2024 with the drones that they kept seeing in your neck of the woods,
Oh yeah.
Jersey, DC, New York, and the last I checked, they never found out what it was.
No.
If they did, they never told us.
No, they are from. It's really hard to find out now, but the little bit I've researched on it, they are still investigating what it was.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
the size I heard they were was everything from just the normal size drones like you have to ones that are like the size of a car.
yep.
And yeah, it's
So, so I've got one final story before we end the show tonight,
perfect.
and I found this one extremely interesting. This happened May of last year, and you know what? I made a mistake. The last story I read about the orbs that were heading south to north,
Okay.
that was not a law enforcement officer. This was the final story I wanted to read, and I
Oh,
messed it up.
okay.
Um, this one that happened August of last year was actually from a commercial airline pilot.
Okay.
He was coming into Washington National, and that's when he saw the orbs. And the reason it was so unusual for him is he was traveling west to east, and these orbs are in his flight plan. They're in his flight path.
Okay.
So he's watching them travel south to north, zigzagging, splitting up and going, northeast and one going north, all while he's traveling. And he's saying these things are flying faster than a commercial airliner.
Which
Sorry, I got the two stories mixed up.
no, not a problem. Which what is the airspeed on a commercial airliner generally? Isn't it around 400?
Anywhere from 4 to 600.
Yeah. So,
Cruising. I remember flying across to Germany, and our cruising speed was about 525,
okay, yeah,
525 miles an hour.
because coming back from Poughkeepsie, I think when I looked at it, because they say it on the screen, they'll tell you what your cruising speed is. It was like 380 or something around there,
Yep.
400. But that's just going across the U.S. I'm sure it's different going, transatlantic or whatever they call it,
It all
international.
depends. It all depends on the wind speed, whether you got a headwind or a tailwind.
Yeah,
You got a tailwind, it's going to push you faster.
yeah,
Not that either one of us are pilots, but we play pilots on TV.
yeah.
So
I've got
anyway, the last story is the law enforcement officer.
okay,
That's what screwed me up, is I knew that his patrol area was on here. He was patrolling in the Columbia Heights area of DC,
okay.
and I've got my paperwork all jumbled up.
Been
So at
there, done that.
approximately 1840 hours, I was outside my vehicle. I decided to look up a clear blue sky eastbound in the 2800 block of Wisconsin Avenue Northwest. Wisconsin Avenue is not that far away from Pennsylvania Avenue. I mean, it's not a quick hop, skip, and a jump, but you can walk to the White House
Yeah.
from Wisconsin Avenue. While looking deep into the sky, I observed a whitish orb, ball, or sphere in the sky. I was in disbelief, and I advised my coworker to get out of the car and look. He glanced up at the sky. I don't see anything, and he got back in his patrol vehicle. I realized he really didn't look that hard. I then focused back on it, and it was approximately 7 to 9 orbs maneuvering in the sky in what he described as a triangle pattern of 5 orbs with either 3 or 4 more orbs just kind of zigzagging in and out of the pattern.
Okay.
So yeah, he described it as they appeared to be dancing around the triangle. Then a few of them would shoot up northbound, and no plane I know or have observed can get from one location to the other location as fast as this did, then do an immediate U-turn and come back to the triangle formation. This all took about a minute to a minute and a half, and then all at once, they shot straight up and disappeared. So 1 commercial pilot, 1 civilian, and 1 law enforcement officer, all within the last year, talking about things over our nation's capital.
Things that shouldn't be over our nation's capital.
And aren't being spotted on radar.
So that's not some David Copperfield magician that's doing this. There's something that's able to do this and not be spotted.
So, I mean, with that, I've got nothing else on UFOs over DC.
I'm sure I could find a lot more to talk about, but I researched the UFO flap, because that's what I was going for initially, and glad you pulled out a few more stories. And so with that being said, that's all I had.
Again, check the link for Project Blue Book in the bottom, and just for fun, I am going to post the link to the National UFO Reporting Center in the description as well.
And MUFON if you can. And then I don't know, I'm sure there's a link or a website to the Enigma app.
There is, and with that link, it'll bring you right to a place where you can download it for Apple or Android.
Okay, yeah. So if you can pop that in there too.
They'll all be in there.
Anybody
and while you're checking out the description, why don't you go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, and notification button.
Yep. Let us know you're interested. Let us know you don't like it.
If you don't like it, give us a thumbs down. Let us know what we did wrong.
Yeah. Comments are always welcome. I don't take offense. Say whatever you want.
No.
Let us know what we're doing wrong. If you want to see something different, want us to change things up, let us know.
That's right.
The email, if you look under each of our names, going across, it says Midnight Signal Podcast, and then at gmail.com. Shoot us an email.
Absolutely. We're always open to engagement. We're always open to lively conversation. Join us on our live every other Friday. Our next one will be May 1st, where we talk about number stations.
Yep. Going to be
join us, and we interact with the group all the time.
Yep. It'll be fun.
All right. Until then, stay spooky.
And keep watching the skies.